Warning: the following podcast contains violent scenes that may be unsettling to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome to the Brian Diaries, where my pals and I get together and talk about subjects dealing with our favorite tabletop role-playing setting, the World of Darkness. While we may not be subject matter experts on the game lines, we have a passion that has led us to create and share actual plays with you all. Eventually we thought, well shit, we might as well take a stab at a podcast, and here you go. Each episode we will have a guest content creator to join us to talk about whatever subject is on the table. If you would like to contact us, you can reach out to us on Twitter at twin_cities_VTM or on Facebook at Twin Cities by Night. So here we go. I hope you enjoy. Hello everyone and welcome to the Brian Diaries, the unofficially sponsored by Cold Brew and Black Sabbath Riff podcast, the two things that are darker than the World of Darkness. My name's Chris. Fucking Cold Brew, man. Yeah, gotta have the Cold Brew. We've already said unofficial sponsor, Cold Brew and Black Sabbath Riffs. Today I have a co-host. You guys may know him from some of our games. He was on our second year birthday bash, Brian Diaries, but we really didn't do an introduction. I'm joined today by Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
Hello.
So I thought, since we really didn't do, like I said, an official intro on that birthday bash, and it was just us all hopped up on beer and cold brew. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your history in gaming, and your history with our group for people who may have not checked out our games.
So it's been like a year since I started playing with you guys, right?
Yeah.
I've played in the World of Darkness Ultimate Evil game. That's kind of where I started on the channel, but we had been talking a long time before that, and I've played in the Victorian Age vampire game that Quinn ran, Joaquin. Then now I'm in the Twin Cities by Night game that you're running, the third arc, and I do a lot of World of Darkness gaming with my own local group as well. That I'm mostly just storytelling games, and I think I'm actually going to be starting a new one there too. So I have like a bunch of gaming projects going on all at once, and I'll be running one on the TCBN channel too for Hunters Hunted 2, doing like a chronicles set in Washington DC in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, definitely. Andrew's one of those people when we were in like our first year, even earlier on when we were just sharing the Twin Cities by Night, the first two story arcs. Andrew was the guy who would comment on videos and kind of like be honest with his critique about stuff, because for people who may not know, probably the hardest thing to get when you're a content creator, period, is like comments or reviews or like opinions about your stuff, like where people are actually verbalize and articulate it. And so Andrew was one of those people, and then eventually Andrew came to the White Wolf Media gameplay Facebook group that we run, and he'd be commenting on people's posts, and he was very interactive. So when Slavic and I, who were the original two mods, wanted to kind of like expand and get more mods because the group was growing, Andrew was of course on the top of the list, and he jumped in there. And I remember when we first ran World of Darkness Ultimate Evil, and Mitch, Slavic, and I thought it'd be cool to see if any other outside players wanted to get in on it. We sent out, like, we do this thing where we send out a questionnaire to people who are interested or whatever. And I kind of, this is what I love about Andrew. I kind of was like, stomp, stomp, wink, wink. Yeah, you'll be considered, really trying to tell him like you're a shoo-in for the game. And Andrew's like, no, fuck that. I don't want to be treated any differently than anyone else. And I want like the same vote to happen. And I was like, oh, and I was really impressed by that. And I thought that spoke volumes about his character. So yeah, he's been part of the group for a while now. He's about to run his own game. So he's kind of like the guy who, balances me out in our group and knows like the right things to say, like if I go down a rabbit hole or whatever. So I appreciate him coming here. And one of the main reasons why, and this is a good segue, Andrew wanted to be on here is because Andrew is a huge fan of the content that is produced by our guest today, Kosnark, from the ST Spira gang or crew. What's up, Kosnark?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Awesome little impressive resumes you guys got going on. Yeah, I'm the production guy on my side. Of course, my lovely wife, storyteller Spira, she's the talented one. I just, try not to screw up the editing too much.
I think it's totally amazing you get to play with your wife too, by the way. Like seriously, my wife has it now to where I can talk about that I play a game, but she still rolls her eyes every time I try to get into any kind of details. But she's getting there, but that is very commendable and awesome to hear that.
Oh yeah, no, she taught me. I Playing with her was the first time I ever played a role playing game in my life. I didn't do much of that. I was much more into like WoW and stuff in middle school, high school, that kind of thing. She was the one who's, been into World of Darkness since a small child. She's the one who introduced me to it and got me into all this. She did the Philly by Night, of course, before the current games that we run. But yeah, she pulled me in because she was tired of me not being able to talk with her about her games and stuff. So she's like, that's it, you're doing this. And here we are.
Nice. So yeah, you mentioned that you guys started with Philly by Night. I remember when that hit the scene. That was around the time that we started Twin Cities by Night when that happened. But then you guys segued into other games, right? What are some of those other games that you guys run?
So we run. We just Storyteller Spira is just the collective name we do for all the different games that we run. We did New York by Night, which was our longest lasting game. It's a bit of a hiatus right now. Just because we did that for a little over a year, many episodes, lots of hours, and we wanted to take a break. Right now we're doing New Orleans by Night. Gotta love all the by nights though. But we're doing New Orleans by Night, which is us playing, vampires in New Orleans, and the channel's recently expanded out to doing some D&D by the awesome Zibani, who's a D&D pro, been doing it for a long time, so he storytells that on Fridays. Tuesdays is Storyteller Spira doing her job and doing vampires, and I believe we're going to have Revolver C coming back here soon, who's another Twitch streamer, storyteller, awesome guy, starting up a new vampire game in the next couple weeks. I'm not sure what the setting is. I haven't been able to keep up recently, but we're always going for more games. We aim for 3 a week, usually Monday, Tuesday, Friday, but they change up from here and there. And then I do generally the production stuff for all that. So making sure getting the artwork down and correct, making the overlays, making sure all that stuff is working out good.
And you also have a Hunter's game too that was ran, right? Where you Hunter the Reckoning game?
Yeah, we did a Hunter the Reckoning, which is on YouTube. We're probably going to be revisiting those. And then Modi Ansuz, who is a regular in our games, he's flirting with, and we're trying to convince him to do it, a Demon game as well. Demon the Fallen.
Nice. Yeah, you don't see too many Demon the Fallen like actual plays out there. I think I've only seen like one other one that was a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. So that's pretty cool. That I think that a lot of people would love to consume that. I know Adam, who is a part of our group, loves the Hunter game that you guys ran. You know what I mean? Like has nothing but good things to say about it. He talked about a scene in a park where people were drinking beer and eating KFC while they're trying to figure out what was going on, and that's really awesome to hear about scenes like that. I loved the way, for those who don't know, you obviously play in a lot of these games, and you played in New York by Night, and I like, dude, the way you do a kid's voice is just like spot on, man. I was like very impressed by how you did a child's voice in there.
Yeah, I mean, I've got kind of the light end of the voice spectrum anyway. I'm not going to impress anyone with, we already have Chard, if anyone knows him, or Super Chocolate Bear, and he's got those deep tones down. I'm not going to try to compete, so I figured I'll lean into being a higher pitched guy, and we'll do the children thing, because I figured I can do that voice. I'm terrible at accents, like really am. So I was trying to figure out something I could do to, not just be my normal standard voice, and I thought that'll be awesome. And then Ike does have that really fun child, and he's older, so 50s sort of male kid voice that he does, and then can switch into my normal voice, which is his like deep, him trying to be commanding. But since I don't have a very commanding voice to start with, it comes off as kind of funny. I enjoy it.
Yeah, child vampires are creepy, period. And trust me, brother, I have the same affliction where I can't do accents to save my life. I try to do some, but yeah, I feel like a clown whenever I try to use them. One thing that I really like about your guys' group is that it seems very multifunctional. Like you have people who do different roles. Like you have Elvish Dame, who does your guys' artwork, who kind of like pushes that out. I know she does like a lot, like your banner and like the different thumbnails that you have guys have had on YouTube. And then you have someone who handles like certain aspects of social media, like Reddit and Twitter. Then you guys have someone who does like the shares on Facebook, and like you do the editing. So I think that's really cool. It's like a coalition of like different people fit in different roles, man. So Yeah, it's awesome, and it shows you guys have like a huge fan base, and that's really rad, man. And I creep on your guys' Discord, so I get to like see the announcements of new stuff, and I'm excited to see what kind of vampire games you guys are running on Monday. I saw the announcement, man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
a little bit of a teaser there. Gotta get that build up for it, and it's always nice to have different storytellers because everyone's got their own bend on how to do it, their own flow, their own pacing. And I think we tried to do a demon game a while back, and Storyteller Spira has her very clear way that she runs games, and Modi Ensus was trying to replicate that for his game, and he was really stressed out storytelling, and he ended up cutting our first demon game, but he came to the realization it's because he's trying to do it her way, and you can do it at different paces, you can have different structures. Spira doesn't do much block text at all in her games. Most of that's all comes up off the top of her head, or she's got an idea worked out, but there's nothing written down. It's kind of funny, sitting next to her when she's, running the ship, captaining the ship. There's a scary lack of notes going on some days, and she just pulls it off every time. She's got it all in her head. It's great. Not everyone can do that, though. So that's why it's nice to have those guest storytellers and to check everyone else out, see how they do it.
There's a bunch of different styles for storytelling. Everyone has their own way of doing it. You can even see it in some of our content on YouTube with the way Adam and Joaquin both had their own distinct method of running a game that was very different from the way Chris does. And it's really cool to see that your group as well has like that. Everyone has their own style, and it'll be really interesting to see what he brings to the table if he decides to run that after all.
I'm pretty sure we got him sold on it. I wouldn't have said anything. I'm saying something just so I can point him in this direction and put the pressure on,
Like,
well, it's out of the bag. Get working.
It's in the interwebs. That has to happen now.
Don't make a liar out of me, Modi.
Yeah, no pressure, Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, different people have their different styles, and yeah, like that's the same thing with our group where, yeah, you can't like try to fit into someone's mold. If anything, just look at something you like that they do and maybe try to tweak that and add it to your style, But yeah, there's so many different ways of storytelling, and really trying to like trap yourself in one box of it. You know what I mean? It's just if it's not concurrent to what you like to do, you know what I mean? You're just gonna stress yourself out,
And it also it's down to what you value in your role-playing game. So Storyteller Spira obviously loves the role-playing aspect of role-playing. We're kind of role light most of the time. Fights are rare but fun when they happen. But we do our like the Storyteller Spira and I sort of style is the radio style, where we try not to get caught up on details. We don't argue rules on air. We don't talk over each other, and there's very little crosstalk, which comes up is just a much different experience than the actual tabletop, sitting around the table chatting with friends and playing is a very different experience because we don't like get interrupted very often. People get to finish whole sentences, which it's just a different bend to it, a different style and flavor.
Well, yeah, I found that playing online, like as a group, like we got whatever 3 hours, you know what I mean, and we got 3 1 hour sessions, I guess, before a break. And yeah, you learn when you play online, you want to get the maximum time playing that you can, you know what I mean, out of there. And yeah, I really dig that, like the roll light kind of mentality. You don't want to waste too much time going down that rabbit hole, because before you know it, 30 minutes is gone with arguing and opening books and trying to, you know what I mean, find an answer. And I played in a tabletop game recently where I felt like it really took me a second to get used to that again, because I was like, oh, wow, we're looking up books and sitting there. And I'm just thinking, that's 10 minutes that's gone by. That's 20 minutes now. You know what I mean? Where we could be playing. So definitely.
And because it's all of our content is produced, obviously we say at the end of every stream, we wouldn't do it if we didn't have fun. But we know we have an audience. We know there's people watching, and digging through books and arguing over rules. There's definitely an audience for it, but that's not the majority of our audience. We do that in the Discord afterwards.
Definitely. How does that lend itself to like playing live? Because unlike with our games where we're recording and we have time where we can just set aside to take breaks and all that stuff, you guys have you're doing all your stuff live on Twitch as you're playing, and having to have like that kind of interaction with the audience, and also with rules and things like that. How does that all work for y'all?
Generally, we're all laid back and production minded, so everyone does their part in keeping the ship going forward. Keeping it on track. We'll have people who do asides, and they they'll do their aside. They'll go into the chat box and they'll talk to the audience. And often, honestly, the audience is a huge asset to us. They'll pull up a rule and they'll go, hey, look at this page, or here's the rule. They'll copy paste it into the Twitch chat about something, and it may have already passed, but we'll make note of that. And then next time we come around to it, we'll change it and do it the way the rule is supposed to be. Or if it's not production friendly, we'll change the rule itself. We'll just homebrew something, which is sort of a downside because it makes it a little difficult to follow our games from the outside, because you're like, what book are you using? It's like, well, a combination of old things and new things and modified things that work for streaming and for live audiences. And then, folding in our breaks, of course, which we do is we do the audience conversations during breaks. A few of us stick around and we go like shifts. People go away, people come back and do the chatting. And that's another place where like rules will really get borne out, or we'll argue over something, or we'll say, that's crap. That shouldn't happen that way. I should have had you. Or we've honestly backed off on rule arguments just because they're narratively interesting, which, that's a product of the live nature of our games. Like I always recall that Ike got staked to a couch by Angel, Zabani's character. And that was a point where I went, no, I don't care about the rule anymore. We stopped arguing over, initiative and all that. And I said, no, I'm just going to let this happen and it was a beautiful scene because.
Definitely. That kind of is a good segue to our next section. After we have our first break, we'll be coming back and we'll actually be talking about Twitch. And that's why we have Mr. Kosnark here, so he can break us down to people like me to what Twitch is, and to people who potentially have never heard of it and who may be looking for a new form to run games or check out games. So stay tuned.
Hello, folks. Have you ever wished you could have an easy way to find gameplay videos and podcasts, or just media in general that deals with your favorite White Wolf role-playing games? Or have you ever wished you could find a forum to share gameplay that you have recorded, one which wouldn't be drowned out by random posts and discussion, so that your media could get the attention you want? Well, we have the answer for you in a Facebook group we run called White Wolf RPGs Gameplay and Media. The group is specifically ran with the sole intent of it being a one-stop shop for people to view or share media involving the games we all love. We take thorough steps to ensure the page does not become cluttered and is easy to traverse. We are currently over 1,000 members strong, and we are continuing to rapidly grow, with new media being shared every day. Stop on by. We hope to see you there.
All right, welcome back. So one common question that I get myself being a content creator all the time is, are you going to go on Twitch? No, I'm never going to go on Twitch. You don't want to know why? And I'm sure Andrew could answer it right here, but Andrew has answered it to people before. I get easily distracted. And then, by the way, that's no slight at all to people who run games on Twitch. I'm not saying I'm better, and I'm actually worse than probably the people who can run games on Twitch, because one dude would say a word and I would just be like, bird, and I'd just be distracted and trying to figure out what that person means. A little kind of funny story way back when we first started, we accidentally ran one of our games on YouTube Live. It was like the third or fourth session of our vampire game, and someone simply logged on and said France. And I swear for 15 minutes, I'm like, what do they mean by France? What are they saying by France? I'm trying to find who this person is rather than run the game. So one very popular thing that I've noticed being in the content creation scene now is seeing how many people run tabletop role-playing games on Twitch now. So I guess my first question for you, Mr. Kosnark, is, can you explain to us exactly what is Twitch? What is the meaning behind it? Like, why do people run games on Twitch? Like, what's the big picture? Like, when you guys started running games, why did you choose Twitch?
So Twitch, obviously, from the basic level, is online streaming content. They do have the same functionality as a lot of YouTube, and YouTube's catching up with Twitch as well, but there is videos are saved and things like that. But the core part is, streaming, and streaming's become a big thing in the gaming world as a whole, with video games, tabletop games. One of the biggest Twitch channels, Encounter Roleplay, they run on Twitch. And I mean, for us, when we were trying to decide how to do this, we didn't really consider already edited. We really like the thrill of having an audience and having people there and interacting with them in a live setting, not through a comment section. which not saying that's, plus or minus for anyone. We also love our YouTube comments, but having that be ingrained into the game itself, it adds a lot of laid back energy to everything. And then I think as far as Twitch, obviously being live, and it has an environment that's already very supportive of that. They know that they what you're getting out of Twitch, because we're latecomers to the whole thing. It was already set up. The formula was set up. How you do it was kind of there. We just added our spin to it. We didn't have to break new ground. I feel like YouTube, especially live, because we enjoy the live part, is still growing, and it's still a new thing, and people are really forging the way for that. And unfortunately, we're busy, so this works for us. It's not too much editing. I put most of my stuff up there, mostly raw, with cutting out any bits that I have to, changing audio settings if that needs to be done. But it's a great way to interact with everyone, to get people involved. And one of the weirdest things I say is we've talked about doing just YouTube videos, or running a game on just YouTube and not streaming it. And in a weird sort of way, it keeps us all honest, and it keeps us motivated on Twitch, because you're live and you've made this agreement that, hey, we're going to show up at this time, and we're going to start at this date, and we're going to do this for this many hours. And that keeps everyone on board. There's a whole lot of guilt, not guilt, but you do feel like you're disappointing people when you back out of a game that's supposed to be live, because they've also put time out of their day to sit down with us and share that experience. And it's not something that they can do later. You can watch them on YouTube, but you won't see your comments in the YouTube video, because we have our Twitch chat in our videos. You feel bad backing out, and that keeps all of us, even when you're having a bad day, you get that stage health. You get that ability to suck it up for the 2-3 hours you have to, no matter how bad your day was at work or how sick you're feeling, and show up and take part. And I think that means we do more role playing than we might otherwise.
Yeah, I like that, because two things is, like, first, you guys have the constitution of a horse, man. You guys run like every friggin' week, and I've told Andrew this. I'm like, if I had to run a game every week, I think I'd be a shell of a man by the end of it, just because I'm like one of those people, when I'm done storytelling, I just have to have like 2 or 3 days to recuperate, you know what I mean, before I can even start thinking about another game. So kudos to you guys. But also one thing that because I've jumped on a couple of your guys' Twitch streams, and one thing that I've noticed, that you guys have a real core loyal following who's there, you know what I mean, watching every time that you guys have a game going on. And I would say, would I be incorrect in the assumption that Twitch pretty much filters out the assholes who just say negative shit, you know what I mean, and are basically kind of just like you said, people know what they're getting when they go on Twitch. So the people who are on Twitch wanting to watch games, you know what I mean, you're not having to worry about randos jumping in there and kind of being disruptive, because these are people who are specifically trying to find tabletop games, with people playing tabletop and such.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole community just for it, and that's awesome. And that community as a whole is very supportive, and we try to do our part as well. Anytime I answer a lot of questions in Twitch chat about what do you use to stream, how do you guys make your overlays, how do you do this stuff, which I know is one of the things I'm going to talk about here in a little bit, but so I won't go into it too much now. But probably the worst thing we get is this isn't D&D, which is, if I had a criticism of Twitch, it's that the D&D is a catch-all for tabletop, and that kind of sucks. But like we recently made the switch to the D&D tag, and our viewership has increased a lot. Our stable amount of viewers has gone up to like 30 something at a time, which we're in a weird time zone. A lot of our fans watch from across the globe, which I love. I love looking at the statistics and the spreadsheets and stuff. But it's crazy that people do. They show up and they're ready, every day. Like we're a part of their life, just like people used to sit down and watch TV shows. And that's just, even if it's only our small core, of 10, 15 people that pretty much always show up, it's invigorating in like the pure sense of the term. Like you get hype for it to do it. And it's, like I said, you feel bad when you don't show up. And it does self-filter. We have very little moderating we have to do, honestly. We don't really have to filter out people. Most people are very respectful. There are a lot of unwritten rules that we have, and I don't know how we've gotten this long without having to write them down. It's almost a miracle. It's crazy. And we fully expect that as we grow, you run into more problems. So the bigger you are, the more flack you're going to catch, and that's okay.
All right. So I think that is a good point to jump on, though, like you were saying, with the different types of equipment that you guys use. whenever you're streaming, you're going to have obviously some more higher quality stuff than like somebody who's just like recording like a podcast. They might just need a decent microphone and that's it. You know, what kind of work goes into just the setup side of things?
I mean, you can, if you take a look, we've definitely put, time and money into bettering our setup. But when we started, we had just a Steel Series headset mic, and a webcam we went out and bought, and we just kind of started rolling. My rig isn't particularly impressive. It's just an i5. I don't even have that multi-core, which we're looking to upgrade now as we're doing more and more. But the thankful thing is, compared to, say, video game streaming, which is very, very difficult, if you're interested and you want to do this, you can get into this pretty easily with even a laptop setup, a decent, like, medium-grade, quote-unquote, gaming laptop, a webcam, and a headset mic. You can get into it. But as you grow, production value is important, and you want to look good. You take pride in your work. We started upgrading into things like getting an actual mic arm and a shock mount and a pop filter and a secondary computer to help do the encoding, the video encoding that goes into streaming, which we recently made the jump from. We started at 720 just because the computer, the technology, the amount of money we had to expend on this passion of ours. We started at 720 because, it's just tabletop. No one needs to see our faces perfectly clearly. And in a weird way, the higher quality your stream is, the harder it is on your audience as well, to watch that content. So there's a lot of like pluses and minuses. Like, we use high quality audio, but I used medium quality for our video setup through OBS, which I highly recommend, is an amazing free tool for broadcasters that everyone uses. The other common one is XSplit. I think it's XSplit. No, there's XSplit. There's one out there, but I use OBS myself, and you can scale it to what you can do. But I don't wait for the perfect setup. Is one of those things I always advise people. Like, why? Because I've got like the nice microphone now and all that stuff. But we didn't wait, and I don't think other people should either. People come and they appreciate your personality and they appreciate the work and the time you've put into your game, not the technology you bought. And there are streamers who you can, if you watch Twitch, you'll see them pop up. They'll kind of come out of nowhere with really high production quality, high-end stuff, and then they die after 2 or 3 weeks because the passion wasn't there, the technology was, and no one's watching for your tech.
Yeah, amen. You that's a very valid point about like the slow. Like, don't think you have to have the grade A setup. You know what I mean, before you start something, because by the way, your voice is super dreamy on your new microphone. I just want to let you know. But I'm just but for real though, like, it's been like that, at least with my end of things here. You know what I mean? I started with my laptop webcam, and then I didn't even have a USB headset. You know what I mean? And then I progressed to one. Not that I have a high class setup at all, but like, don't let it stop you. Let the passion be there, because people are going to see the passion. They're going to realize if you're really there to like share your game or your story like that, or are you there to like come boom and with some big setup and then try to cash in. I was talking to my buddy Brendan Carey, and shout out Full Metal RPG. We're talking about the same thing where, about celebrities who want to get into podcasting and all of a sudden just show up with this, like, studio sound thing and be like, I'm a podcaster. And then like a month later, they're not around anymore. You know what I mean? Because they realize that the thing that should start a podcast, stream, Twitch, whatever content period should be that you want to do it. You know what I mean? That you should have that spark in you, that drive to make you do it. So that's a very good point. And I like how you said that. Don't let it hold you back if you don't feel like you have the grade A setup, because then you're going to be doing that. Everything in life you shouldn't be. That just counts with everything in life. Don't, well, maybe tomorrow when I have this, or maybe tomorrow when I have that. It's just going to prolong and procrastinate what you want to do.
Just setting the bar too high to where you can't actually get in.
Exactly.
Listen, the right day is never going to come. Okay, like if you wait for that one good day to start streaming, it doesn't exist. Your first day is going to suck. It's going to go wrong. You're going to be embarrassed. You're going to look back later. Problems. Yeah, there's gonna. Like, I'm like, we have. That's our joke. Like, it's not a Storyteller Spira stream unless there's a technical glitch. And we all yell at the mythical production manager, who the hell does all that? And I bandwagon right on top of it. And you know what? It's a part of our quirks now, and like it's odd when a stream goes off without any problems. It actually is kind of weird, and that's why even Spira, we get nervous. If you take a break, your first game back, you get nervous. Just first time running a session, no one feels like they're ready ever. Even the pros out there, there's that bit of nervousness before you hit live, and then you click that live button and you fall into it. And if you have that passion, it's there, it's got you. Follow that. Don't wait for that perfect day. Don't keep restarting your recording. Don't keep doing that. Leave the rough stuff in there. That's going to be your personality, and that's going to be your gauge for growing. Go back and watch those old videos and think, hey, look at how far we came from there, and take pride in it. Take pride that you had mistakes and then you made them better.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like that's like when we do one of our sessions, the thing that I share, like main thing I share is our unedited, you know what I mean? Like here's our session that we did. I'll share it the same day, after it formats, like 6 or 7 hours later. Then I'll go make edited versions for people who may not want to watch it. But man, there are people who want to see the gaps and, you know what I mean? And the fuck ups and the, who want to see it just unfiltered, man. You know what I mean? And enjoy that. That's, that's really awesome. Those are very wise words that you have there. And I'm motivated now, man. You just put a smile to my face, because I'm like, I'm my own worst critic, and I listen, but there's times where I'll listen to our old stuff and I'll be like, oh man, we've just like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
No, it's pride. Take pride in it.
Yeah, exactly. Amen.
And I think it's funny you say that, because we did for a bit there, I was editing out like our breaks that we took, where we would just leave the cameras running and we just chat with people. We do the Ask Me, AMAs, Ask Me Anything, talk about our characters and all that. And I was cutting them out for just try, respectful of people's time. It's a big gap of time, and I cut them out so that people don't have to sit there and listen to us babble about whatever nonsense. And the overwhelming feedback was stop. Like, we want all of that in there, and I just was totally floored by that.
Yeah, that's kind of a good segue to my next question. But before that, I got to kind of give props to you guys, because one thing that I've always envied from your crew is your guys' interaction with viewers. You know what I mean? I've always felt that you have very vocal viewers, you know what I mean? And like, you look in the comment section, just for the record, most of the time that I view your guys' stuff, it's on YouTube, just because of the time that you guys stream. I got, you know what I mean? Usually have other things going on and stuff like that. But I'll go check out the YouTube stuff, and just, very vocal viewers and fans and supporters, which is awesome. And I was always like, man, how can we, because, we're not a live stream or whatever, but I'm like, how can I emulate, you know what I mean? And get that same kind of feedback, you know what I mean? And interaction that you guys get. And Andrew, for the longest time, kept talking about Discord. And I was like, technology, I'm old. You know what I mean? I'm a knuckle dragger, like yada, yada. And so I went and checked out your guys' Discord, which I'm still a member of, by the way. And I was just blown away. Like, I was just totally blown away by it, man. I was just like, my eyes were open. I was like, oh, these guys are there, and they're able to talk to these people and interact with them and answer questions and stuff like that. Because I kind of used like Twitter, but like a lot of people don't go on Twitter or whatever. And so, it led me and inspired me as a content creator to create our own Discord, because I was totally blown away by the steps that you take and the means that you guys take to really connect to your viewership. So that leads to my next question. For those who are thinking about going on Twitch and running a game on Twitch, what are some tips that you would give to interact with viewers? I don't mean to sound like cold and distant, but you know what I mean? There are tips and advice, I think, that can be given on how to really create that interaction. And what are some of those tips that you would give?
I mean, I think the first thing, and this starts before you go live, and this is a two-way street, maybe even a three-way intersection. You need to know yourself and like the personality, your camera personality. Think about it. Who are you? What are your strengths? And who is that going to draw? What's that going to draw to your channel? And set yourself up for the way that you want to interact with an audience. There are loud, crazy yelling and hyper streamers. There are much quieter, calm streams that people just chill out in. And then set the standards. Your community is going to grow organically, and you don't get to steer the ship there. Your personality steers the ship, but you don't get to choose. Like, this is how interaction is going to work. We interact with each other, and then we invite people to jump in, and we make them a part of our family on Twitch. And that's sort of the way we go about it. We all grew up, nerds and geeks in high school, and of course, dating ourselves probably a little bit here, but that was back before video games and everything was cool. That's back when you got bullied for that stuff. So we're a welcoming place about that. And we have, there are clear no rules. There are clear rules that we just don't allow in conversations that we don't like having in our Twitch channel. And, you just got to be, as cheesy as it sounds, like, just be honest about who you are. Don't try to lie and pretend that you're, one of these super popular streamers who have these obscene personalities, which, it's fun and it works for them. But if you're not that kind of person, it won't work for you. And you're going to draw the kind of people that are similar to you. You'll find just as a person, you'll respond, because we're all people behind the cameras. You respond to people that are like you, like your friends. And the people you respond to more are going to stick around more. And that's why it's important, And then if you don't like something, you tend not to engage with it. And that person will either fall off or readjust. They'll soak in the atmosphere and kind of get the hang of it. And I mean, it's, and this is really no offense, but it's tabletop gaming. There are people out there who just aren't as socially adept. We're lucky with our on-screen crew. They're all awesome and really on board. But not everyone is who comes to our stream, and not everyone understands the norms and where to go. We step aside a lot. We chat a lot one-on-one with our community, and set expectations correctly. Like, hey, we want you here, but we can't. You have to back off on this, or this belongs in private messages. Light hand moderation. We very rarely, we try not to ban people. We try not to chastise anyone, because it's supposed to be an open community. But if you want your comment section or your Twitch stream to be filled with screaming and cursing and, like a fun sort of jab attitude, then you be that kind of person. And you're going to find those kind of people that stick around, and that's what it's going to be. Just beware, once you set a tone, it's very, very difficult to change it. And that's actually something Spira and I have, and the whole group have kind of fought with, because once you set a tone, it's so easy, because our stream is 18 up. So we're a mature audience only stream, and I don't know how World of Darkness mature audience ended up being so tame, and that's kind of where we ended up with our tone. And it probably is just born out of our uncomfort of the things you have to delve into, and to make it darker. And I started, we play with that with the characters. Occasionally we'll have darker episodes, but your tone on stream and in your game is going to make a difference. If you have sex, drugs, rock and roll in your game, and your comment section turns a little dirty, why. Whereas if you're much lighter and kind of PG-13 version of World of Darkness, you'll have a more PG-13 kind of audience interactions, which is, cool.
Yeah, I really liked your comment about kind of just being yourself and kind of remaining grounded, in your interactions with people. There was a time, this was, had to be like a year or two ago, where Roll20 ran a mage game. It's on YouTube. I think they did like 13 episodes. They were just trying to experiment with the system that they hadn't played with before. Mage, for those of you who don't know, Mage 20th is like I'm rereading the book in the process of reading again, which I made it a quarter way through. Excellent book, by the way, but it's not an easy book to ingest, not an easy system to understand. And these guys not only took a chance by running the game and sharing it online, but it was their first time they ran it and they shared it online, which I think takes some guts to do. You know what I mean? And there was a content creator. He's no longer a content creator. His YouTube channel shut down, who put this most asinine, pompous fucking comment in the YouTube video. I came across it. I almost responded, but I stay out of stuff like that usually. And he was like, "This is good. My stuff is so much better than this. I don't understand why people are even watching this." And I'm like, whoa, dude, like, we're just playing games online, bro. You know what I mean? We're not making high art here, like, calm down, man. Step down from your, your podium a little bit and relax. And I like that, what you said, like, we're all grounded here. We're all people playing a game, man. There's just some of us are sharing it online, but I think, like you said, some people think they're rock stars in their heads. Not some, and not like there's a lot or whatever. It's a small minority, but you know what I mean? Like, I read that guy's comment. I'm like, who are you, man, to make a comment like that to someone who's not only like I just think it takes some oomph to go ahead and try to do something like that and be like, hey, we're trying a new system here. You know what I mean? And then just be condescending, with envy and stuff like that in the comments. So that's a really good point, man.
That's one of those things about being a content creator, is that you kind of have to set boundaries, not only for your own group and how you interact with each other, but for your audience as well. However you interact with your audience, you kind of have to set like those boundaries so you know where you're going to be. And the fact that you guys have that with your group, you know what kind of you know each other's comfort zones and what you can work with and how you can interact with your audience. It's a good thing, and being able to kind of cipher out all the potentially toxic stuff.
Yeah, and there are plenty. I mean, Twitch is well known for toxicity and people being toxic, and a lot of those people pull it in on themselves, and it's a good way to get popular. And that's okay. Like I'm not smashing anyone for doing it their way. That's why I said just make sure you're in your own comfort zone. If you start a Twitch stream on some like really outgoing, loud personality and that's not you, you're gonna fade, you're gonna wither, it's gonna suck the life out of you, and it'll start becoming obvious. And once you start that, your core supporters are who push you forward. And if that's who you attract, you're either restarting from somewhere new, or you have people coming in who maybe you want to change the tone. That it's difficult. So that's why I say just be who you are. Everyone's got good and bad days, and then you're always going to meet. Like I said, especially doing Twitch and especially doing World of Darkness, who the demographic is older at this point. You are talking an older demographic. I mean, White Wolf's working on updating, and I think Twitch streaming is good.
Like an older audience to begin with, too.
Yeah, and tabletop alone is older, and there's a certain kind of person. So you do have to moderate firmly, and it's always nice to have someone. We are a team. We approach this. It's our community. It's not Spira's. It's all of us. We have roles. So I'm generally one of the more firm individual. I only step in when I have to. Hey, this has to stop, or this has to change, or that kind of thing, because I don't really shy away from conflict or social interactions. I don't get weirded out by that. But I'm also not the best at support, and we're a community. And when you have a community, you have people who need support, who are going to have bad days and bad things happen in their life. And we don't ignore them, because that's a shitty time to be quiet when you feel like you belong in a group. But that's not my strong point. Spear's great at it. And Modi and Elvish are just awesome at doing those sorts of things. And that's what keeps people around. They remember who their friends are. If you start a Discord and go radio silent on your own crew, you don't be surprised when you don't grow that way. And you don't have to grow with a Discord. You know, if you value what, like you were saying earlier, if you value that interaction and that feedback, that's great. Go with it. But not everyone who does this, you don't have to have a Discord, and you don't have to support a community. You can, do you and let people watch as more of a visual thing, because you figure we didn't get to interact with TV shows that much until internet forums became a thing, and none of us pretended like our favorite star read the forum anyway.
So what type of general advice that if people are trying to get started running Twitch, things that we haven't covered that you would give to someone who is just trying to get started in doing some tabletop gaming? What just anything that comes to mind that we haven't already talked about?
Inkscape is an amazing free tool if you can't afford Illustrator or Photoshop. Inkscape and GIMP. So Inkscape, GIMP, OBS. That's the poor person's holy trinity right there. Stick with those. They'll get you at least up to our production quality as you learn them. That's all we use. We don't own Photoshop still. We also don't own Illustrator. We do a surprising amount with surprisingly little. So if we can do it, you can too. Like, I have no art. I don't have an art bone in my body. I am just not. That's not what I'm good at. And there's also a lot of people out there who can help. So reach out. Never be afraid to, show up in, the Storyteller Spira Twitch and ask me directly. I'm always open, or on the Discords or your Discord. Reach out to the community. We all love this. So don't feel like a stranger. And also, when you do it, focus on your game at first. Don't worry about getting big. Don't worry about networking and those sorts of things, because we get this a lot. And I always kind of feel bad, but people like, hey, I'm starting a game. Can you shout us out or things like that? And one, that's just a content creator sort of faux pas. You know what I mean? Like, you grow to a level of mutual respect. You don't show up on someone's channel expecting to be a partner or to be hosted and stuff like that. Get a good game. We watch all the other World of Darkness Twitch streams that we can. We check them out weekly. We know who else is out there in the community, and we're always keeping an eye out for new players, guest DMs, that kind of stuff. If you focus on you and your game, someone's going to notice. Or if you genuinely take part in someone else's community, I mean, that's how I learned about this, and here I am. You genuinely take part, then you ask, hey, can you come over here and help us with this? Most people, I think, are willing to do so if they have the free time. But networking is always important. So I think you don't need all the expensive stuff. You don't need the expensive equipment, and there's no day better than today to start. But also make sure you run a few pilot games. That's another one. I know some people don't air your first game. Do make them non-canon pilot games to get your own group's chemistry down, because that chemistry will carry you so far.
Yeah, and once you have that chemistry established, it's a lot easier if you're starting like a new story arc or something like that to just kind of jump in. But that very first one, you do kind of need to feel things out.
Yeah, and you can start in media res. I mean, it's okay. You don't have to have we all meet up in a tavern. You can if you want to. That's fine. We did that sort of cliche start with our D&D game with Zibani, and that was almost like a joke because we're all generally pretty good writers, and we're like, nope, that's how we're starting it, the old school D&D in a tavern.
All right, so you guys can find in the description of the podcast and the YouTube video, you'll find links where you can contact and see the ST Spira crew, their Twitch, their social media. It's all going to be down there, the Discord. Anything else before we cut to our next break, Mr. Kosnark?
No, I'm just having this great time.
Awesome. Yeah, I love hearing like the perspective different content creators bring to the whole thing, and yeah, man, it's very awesome. And all right, so when we come back from our next break, we'll be talking about things that are coming up on our channel. Catch you then.
High Level Games, the industry's first choice in taking your games to the next level. We are a podcast blog and new media network at highlevelgames.ca. We have blog posts about all of your favorite games going up 5 days a week, and a podcasting network with actual plays and shows that discuss role-playing games, with more rolling out all the time. We are on iTunes, Twitch, and YouTube. Find out more information at highlevelgames.ca, a site that certainly isn't controlled by a shadowy board of directors of otherworldly origin. That's highlevelgames.ca.
Please, help. They're coming.
All right, everyone, welcome back. So I have just injected cold brew into my veins. I hardline that shit, and I'm ready to talk about what we have going on in our channel or what's been going on for the next month. So recently, I just finished the World of Darkness Ultimate Evil podcast re-edits. For those of you who don't know, my big project is going through our podcast versions of our stuff and kind of like re-editing it, because honestly, A, it's easier to edit out some shit using Audacity on audio than it is on video, and B, like we talked about earlier, like in your earlier stuff, there's a lot of technical stuff you're picking up that, and that you can edit out and make it sound flow better. So yeah, just if you don't know, World of Darkness Ultimate Evil is a Chronicles of Darkness first edition game that we ran that takes place in 1987, Bismarck, North Dakota, and kind of deals with the satanic panic, but it's a game of mortals. That was the game that Andrew here was introduced into our group with. And so if you want to check that out, you can find that at iTunes, SoundCloud, all those many different podcast apps. If you do happen to enjoy it, leaving a review on iTunes or your preferred app would mean the world. It helps get it exposed more to where people can find it. So that's awesome. We had our session of Vanity, Changeling Lost Vanity last week. You can find it on the YouTube channel and podcast. Andrew could attest this game is becoming like Changeling the emo, or what did someone call it, real world Changeling or some shit. It's just a very character driven game, because this game is a game like Changeling is straight up a game about pain and survival and PTSD, and just it's fucking awesome, and I'm falling in love with it. And I love our interactions with our characters, by the way, in there. Andrew, I was listening to that when I was editing the podcast. I was just like, holy cow, man, people would really probably think we were at each other's throat in real life. You know what I mean?
We're cool, man. We're cool.
We're cool. Yeah.
Listen to this last game session, even the one before, I might think that Chris and I are like hostile to each other. Nah. Not at all.
Not at all. And Adam's killing it, man. Adam loves Changeling the Lost, loves the Chronicles of Darkness games, man. And he put a lot of work into it. And man, I'm really impressed by his I mean, the way that he handles Charlie, that NPC, I was like, especially like the last hour of the last session, just like the pain that kid felt, during all that. I'm like, holy shit, like Adam is knocking it out. So if you're listening to Adam, props to you. I know you're probably going to apologize for being so good at it. Like you apologize for everything else, but you're rocking it. Next Sunday, the 22nd, we have Twin Cities by Night Dread Session 2. Man, I fucking am so happy that I'm running this game again. I took a year break from it, man, because I was just like so much shit was going, all the drama and
happening.
Yeah, and just like I wanted to try different games, and I was just like, but to come back to that game and come back to it, with like how much we've grown as a group in the last year, but like just like take the shit that we learned from the Ultimate Evil and War is on Fire, just like that character driven shit, and just coming back into that game, man. This is like a story, folks, that honestly like that I see going for a while. Like like the first story arc of Twin Cities by Night was like 6 sessions, and the second was like 7. I don't see this going that short, just because of like how we all want to take a deep dive into these characters, man. It was just really fun, and I felt like all this year of stuff that I've just taken in from different media and stuff like that, I'm finally getting to show. You know what I mean? Like, and like, I'm just really, 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 really happy that we're running that game again. And I was so like relieved, like Kosnark said earlier in the last section, where you come back after a break from a game, you're just nervous, you know what I mean? And you have this anticipation. And when I was done, and Andrew can attest to this, very rarely am I done with running the session to where I'm like, oh, I'm happy with that. Usually I'm like beating myself up over something. And I
always,
felt
you're
always
like, I could have done this and I should have done this. And man, I'm always getting down on yourself. But like, this is, you're right. You came away from that one very positive.
It was a
tip
good
for the followers. Always shout out amazing game to your storyteller when they're done, because I've never heard of a storyteller that doesn't beat themselves up afterwards.
Dude, that
Make
means
sure
a
they
lot.
know how much you love them and how awesome they are for the work they do.
That's awesome. You just made me smile, man, by doing that. Thank you. You made my day. I'm just gonna record that and play it over and over, dude. That's awesome. So yeah, that's next Sunday. Adam B, because we have 2 Adams, aka Mitch, should be joining us for that session with this Tremere character. So I'm really happy to introduce him. And then the next Sunday, the 29th, and I'm going to probably toss this over to you, Andrew. Andrew's going to be running the character creation session for Hunter's Hunter 2 Corruption. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like what the character creation session is going to be like and what people can expect from that?
Yeah. So for that, I have a general like plot in mind, which I'm not going to, delve into at all. But the focus of that session is going to be solidifying all the individual characters, and by the end of it, everyone should be able to have like a strong sense of who their character is and what place they have in the world and how they might interact with other characters. And I just kind of want to do this like it's. I've seen how, in some groups they like, let's all just build a character and show up and we start playing. But something that's always worked really well for my group locally is that we build our characters together and make it a group exercise, because then you can bounce ideas off each other. The whole point is to make, like, from the get-go, I want us all working together to build this story. So that's what we're kind of aim for that session, is just making these different people who have become exposed to the seedy underworld night side of the world of darkness, and how they react and how they determine, there's vampires and I have to kill them.
Yeah, the character creation session is something that I wish I would have done. I mean, I did it. I didn't record the ones I did for Twin Cities by Night, and we did one kind of like on the side, I guess, for World of Darkness, but I really felt like when we did that character creation session for Wars on Fire, that really set the tone for the game, even before like the first session, man. Like that made the Pale Rider pack like right there before like anyone even played their characters. And so when we did that for Vanity, I was really happy we did that for Vanity, because I felt like we knew our characters jumping into that. So that is really awesome. So the people are going to be playing this. I'll be playing in that game. Adam C, who is the storyteller for Vanity, who played Wayne in Ultimate Evil, and then you got Adam B, who played Mitch, and Alexei in Ultimate Evil is going to be playing in that, and then we have Tillman, who played Richard and Juarez, and who plays in Vanity. Katrina is going to be playing in that, and we all got these crazy characters, man. I'm like so excited. It's like a wide variety of characters, concepts. We've only heard concepts. We haven't like obviously put dots to paper or anything like that. So I'm really excited to play in that. And the more I get to play, like the more it's like I can just focus on the one game I'm running. You know what I mean? Or the Brian Diaries and stuff like that. And then I'm thinking next week, because I kind of, when I started the Brian Book Club, and for those of you who don't know, the Brian Book Club's where I take like a horror book and I kind of like talk about how you can use it for inspiration to run or play in a World of Darkness game. I was just like knocking those out like every week. I was like, bah, 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 bah. Now I'm kind of pulling back a little bit, but I will be probably doing one next week or the week after on My Friend Dahmer, the graphic novel that just recently had a movie that came out. I don't want to say too much when I'm going to talk about it, but I'll be doing one on that. And then finally, full circle, May 6th, we're going to be recording the next Brian Diaries, where we're going to have David Larkins from the Esoteric Order of Role Players. EOR, great guys. They have, man, they have like, anytime that I hear David Larkins' name, anytime I hear a vampire actual play podcast brought up, EOR is the first group that's brought up, and you always hear good things about David Larkin's storytelling.
Yeah, I recently started listening to their stuff, as I was telling you earlier before we started recording, and they have some quality content. They have excellent content. So anyone who's out there looking for actual plays that you can listen to, just podcast style, just he has a great series of games on their channel. They also do other things besides just World of Darkness. You know, they have like what is that system?
Pendragon or something like that.
Yeah, they do Pendragon, and they have like a horror on the Oriental Express game that they do, and but they have a variety of content, but their World of Darkness stuff is what I've mostly listened to, and it's very good. So if you're interested at all, check them out.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to them about running games one-on-one, because one thing that David Larkins is known for with his World of Darkness games, at least, is he has 3 stories, I believe, where it's just one-on-one, storyteller and him. And I kind of feel that's kind of something that's shied away from by some people when running World of Darkness games. I've never done it, so I want to hear about advice and tips on how to do this and to make it successful. And I thought, wow, let's go to the source of someone who's kind of well known for doing that. And he was gracious enough and awesome enough to stop on by. And so we'll be talking about that next week. And other than that, that's all we got for stuff coming up. You can find us on Twitter at twin_cities_VTM. You can find us on Facebook, Twin Cities by Night. You can find us on the Discord. I'm talking like an old man. The Discord. And then you can find also other great gameplays and media and content on the White Wolf Game RPG Gameplay and Media Facebook group, where we're almost about to cross over to 2,000 members, which I'm like staring at the counter every day, just waiting for 2,000 to hit, because I'm just stupid dumb like that, and I just like have to have like goals to set, and that's one thing that I'm super excited for. Other than that, Starbucks, if you're listening, give me free cold brew, and I'll push your cold brew on here for free. Keep listening to Black Sabbath. Thank you joining us, Kosnark. I really appreciate it. Again, you're rad. Other than that, everyone, check you all later.
The Los Angeles metropolitan area is constantly growing and changing. The Central District is full of new buildings. The Hollywood and Wilshire districts, once far from downtown, now are part of which spreads past Beverly Hills and out to the ocean. But why is all this going on in Los Angeles? Why is Los Angeles an exploding city?
Neon Masquerade.
The Demon's Mirror.
13 Candles.
3 Chronicles running through the undead veins of the City of Angels.
The Esoteric Order of Role Players Actual Play podcast invites you to drink deeply.
Go to eorpodcast.com and search the Duets tag to find out more.